Welcome to the Rams postgame show. My name is Victor Corona, aka Vic the producer, and joining me live from SoFi Stadium is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for the Orange County Register, LA Daily News. Gilbert, Merry Christmas! And what happened today, man? The Rams come out with the biggest win of the season, best game they've had all year, and here we are. Merry Christmas, Gilbert.
Yeah, it's a Christmas Day miracle here at SoFi Stadium for the Rams to put up 51 points on the Denver Broncos defense, which is a good defense. We keep forgetting that. I know the Broncos stink and they're 4-11, and Russell Wilson's not doing well. Russell Wilson helped out today for sure, but that was a good defense. And we came into the game thinking about Patrick Surtain, a good cornerback who's going to make plays. I know the wide receivers are going to make a lot of plays, but Baker Mayfield, Tyler Higbee, Cam Akers, what a trio, Victor. Who would have thought that this trio here to start the year will put up 51 points in a meaningless game on Christmas Day at SoFi Stadium? So to score points on your first 8 out of 9 drives was pretty impressive, and I'm sure everybody was surprised about what happened, but it also a credit to the Rams for finishing the season on a strong note after being eliminated last week from the postseason contention, that is.
Yeah, and all I can think about was that quote from Cam Akers, man. He really backed up his words this week that he had for you. It was awesome to see. It was just backing his words up like he said he would, and just seeing. I mean, like you said, even the last possession was a kneel down, so that doesn't even count. So they went 8 for 8. I mean, and this is the best game for Sean in the Sean McVay area. Who would have thought a team who came in 32nd in offense against a top 10 defensive team in the Broncos to be able to do that? I mean, there you go, Gilbert. Give us your takeaways from this game.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Daniel Calderon for being here and waiting for me, engaging here on Christmas Day. And I think I scheduled this for like a 6:30, but then I remember everybody wants to leave early on Christmas. Like have my deadlines for the newspaper here at SoFi Stadium. People are staring at me to get out of here. People want to go home, so I want to take too much time, and I appreciate those waiting. So I want to give you the insight here. But yeah, I think we focus on the 51 points, but credit to the defense. That's another takeaway. 4 interceptions, and to kind of summarize this type of game, Victor, Baker Mayfield, uh, 24 out of 28, so 4 incompletions. The Broncos have 4 interceptions. That kind of tells you the two sides there of the story. So Kobe Durant, the rookie, and I thought about when he got that pick six, his first career pick six to go 85 yards and scored a touchdown. He almost had one in week 2 against Atlanta. Like that was like the last time they scored points too, right? That was
Right.
31 points. That was the previous season high. I think he got caught at the 9-yard line, and I think Bobby Wagner took blame for it. He said it was a missed blocked assignment by him, and that's why he couldn't score the first time around. This time he had open space. Nobody needed a block. He took it to the house, 85 yards. So when you have interceptions, you're scoring points. You have a running game, Victor, complementary of football. What happened to this team? Like this is what they expected. So that was the performance they wanted to have. Again, I know it's the Broncos 4-10. Maybe the Broncos might have checked out. I kept checking out Nathaniel Hackett on the sideline. He had a goatee, and he looked pretty frustrated. That kind of tells you from the start of the season to the end that it's been really rough for the Broncos. But Sean McVay, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, these guys are leaders, and they're fighting right now. And to have rookies like Kobe Durant step up, I thought it was a big takeaway for these guys making opportunities because even a guy like Bryson Hopkins, we kept saying it. Like, what about Bryson? This is finally the game where you wanted to have plays, and then when you have more plays, people step up, and that's what happened today.
Yeah, and that leads me into the offense having the best game under the Sean McVay era. I mean, where do I start here? I mean, there's so many things that I can talk about. I mean, they became the 8th team since 2000 to score on their first 8 drives of the game. This stat is from Josh DeBoer of the Associated Press. So I mean, Baker Mayfield, as you talked about earlier, 22 of 28, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. You got Cam Akers with who becomes the first 100-yard rusher of the season for the Rams
Yeah,
in Game 6. What is this? Game 16.
15.
15th. He finished with 23 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then of course Tyler Higbee, 9 catches and 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I wanted to bring up something, and I know I share this on Twitter, and that was the Bryce Hopkins conversation that you had at midweek, and how he was after your conversation with Sean McVay that he was going to get a couple more some more run in this game, and sure enough, there it is. They used. I thought it was really a great game plan to use those tight ends, and he did a good job of using those tight ends to get the offense going, Gilbert.
Yeah, the first half of this game, or even the first quarter, kind of reminded me of the Browns' offense, right? Two tight end sets and a heavy rushing attack, and you have Mayfield on the bootleg. So, you know, I think Mayfield didn't want to take the credit, but to start off 11 for 11, to
Yes.
get into a rhythm with complementary football and a balanced attack. But the tight ends, like Bryson Hopkins was helping out. He was even a fullback, I think, at one point early in the game. And Tyler Higbee doing what he's done all year. Shout out to that guy setting the franchise record for tight ends and receptions, receiving touchdowns, receiving yards. So all career records that he set today. And I think nobody really had an idea until he was a little surprised at the end for him to finally put it together. But Tyler Higbee didn't have a touchdown before this season, before Baker Mayfield arrived. So Baker likes the tight ends. He's giving Higbee all the credit, but to see Bryson Hopkins, do something out there, and I think we mentioned it on the previous show of this matchup here at House of Horns. Bryson Hopkins, like, where has he been? Because all we talk about is Tutu Atwell and Kyron Williams and other young players, but Bryson Hopkins, I know is in year 3, but we all expected something big for him after what he did in the Super Bowl. So for him to get that 22-yard catch to set up one of Higbee's touchdowns, I want to say in the first quarter, was good flashes for him. I know there's small sample size, but to get more guys involved, I think that was probably the biggest takeaway from this game. Is like you see guys like I'm gonna butcher his name, Laurel Murchison. I know you're gonna give him some love later to get
Yes.
2 sacks, and he just joined the team. What, December 12th? Guys like Jonah Williams getting a sack, Michael Hoyt doing what he does. Uh, they're finally getting those young players to make plays, because when you have a losing season, that's the other positive is the young players stepping up, and that wasn't happening. So to finally have that for them, and Bryson Hopkins to show and come out there and flash, I'm sure was a positive for everybody all around.
Yeah, I mean, he set the tone. Higby did, and so did Cam Akers. But as you talked about, and as Daniel Calderon is asking, is Higby the greatest? And in terms of the stats, he has the stats. As you talked about, and said that he has a record for pretty much every statistical stat for a tight end in Rams history. I'm sure some of the older generations will tell us who the actual greatest tight end is, but in terms of the stat, he has them, and you can't take that away from him. Let's move over to the defense, Gilbert. The ref I mean, where do I start? As well, they were great tonight as well. They forced 4 turnovers and had 6 sacks on the day. Bobby Wagner, I thought, again, as we talked about on the preview show, kind of we feel like he got snubbed here. He's been rated the best linebacker according to PFF for the Pro Bowl, but he sacked his former teammate and intercepted Russell Wilson. And where else do I go? Michael Hoy, as you talked about, another good game. He's starting to flash now that he's moved over to linebacker slash pass rusher. He's had another sack and a half. And as you talked about, Kobe Durant, 2 interceptions, including that 85-yard, uh, uh, what is it, pick six. And then the guy that I will talk about later, but Laurel Murchison, who was signed on December 12th, making his debut, and he has 2 sacks. And one little bit of thing that I wanted to bring up is with those 2 sacks, he ranked 6th on the Rams roster in sacks after one game, Gilbert. So give me your thoughts on the defense.
Yeah, I didn't double check, but I'm gonna guess that 6 sacks in the game's the season high for the Rams. I'm
Yeah.
gonna it's pretty good guess there by me. But Yeah, they're finally making plays, and it's funny to think that at one point in the season, I think they went maybe like 6 straight games without a turnover or takeaway, and they're finally doing that now. They're making plays, and Sean McVay actually got kind of emotional when we asked him about Bobby Wagner, like, to have that type of effort and on a Christmas day, maybe you could come out sluggish, you have nothing to play for, and you're probably thinking like, man, why am I out here? I should be, with the family. For me, it was as a reporter, I wanted to be eating tamales all day, as I joked on Twitter. But to
Right.
show that effort, I think it starts with Bobby Wagner and Jalen Ramsey, and McVay got emotional saying like I really respected Wagner from afar, and then to see him every single day, how steady, how consistent he is, regardless of the record and the situation, he just has his routine, and he always puts his best foot forward, and that's a reflection of the team. And he said it wasn't just for the locker room; it was for the coaching staff too, to see how chill he is, and he's such a calm guy, and he had that game against the Seahawks, and he was composed and had his best game of the season. Now he was facing his former quarterback, Russell Wilson, played 10 years together. And he's been itching to get one on him or a sack or an interception because he spent 10 years of practices seeing him wear a red jersey. You couldn't touch the guy. And he finally got him. I'm sure it was a gentle sack because they're not best friends, but they're close friends. And Wagner touched on at the end of the game, like saying how much that Wilson impacted him on and off the field. And I know Russell Wilson gets a lot of crap for just being who he is, maybe a little robotic, a little cheesy, but Bobby Wagner is definitely close friends with Russell Wilson. So uh, I'm sure it's a bittersweet to finally do that to his close teammate. But on the other side, seeing what he's going through, Russell Wilson, I'm sure it's tough. But they're both kind of similar situations. You leave the Seattle Seahawks thinking you're going to win a Super Bowl with the Rams and the Broncos, and it just hasn't worked out that way. But for Wagner, he got the better end of the side today.
Yeah, and I mean, this was such a talking about the connections. Another thing that uh, I forgot about was the owners of the Broncos and the owners of the Rams are
Oh yeah,
are family. So it was kind of like a family thing on Christmas Day, if you really think about it, especially with the whole connection between Bobby Wagner and and Russell Wilson. So that was something else to kind of take away from this game. So with that, I know you have to go, Gilbert. So give me your final thoughts. On the win. Sorry, I like messed up here, but give me your final thoughts on this big win for the Rams, and as we look ahead to the Chargers.
yeah. I keep highlighting the young players and them stepping up. I know it wasn't a good day for the wide receivers, but the tight ends did their thing, and but I think for me, I just kind of go back to Cam Akers and how strange the situation was. Like for him to be away for the team for a month and trying to get traded, and not much attention for him to get traded. So both teams are kind of looking like, hey, we need some help. You didn't go anywhere. Do you want to come back? Then they waived Daryl Henderson, and he somehow becomes just like the lead back. And he has a strong month of the season, final month of the season. And I know people were saying, well, you're out of the playoff contention. For Cam Akers, who cares? He's fighting for a job next season because he has no idea if he's going to be with the Rams. He keeps saying he wants to be with the Rams, but who knows in the back of Sean McVay's mind if he's really over it. And right now is the time to prove it. And he's been proving it. So I'm really interested to see what happens at the end of the season if he does this against the Chargers and the Seahawks. Now you're maybe going into a productive 1-2 punch there with Kyron Williams, which I still want to see more from Kyron. I know he got a little more touches today, but maybe not enough. And it's hard to put him out there when Cam is doing so well in pass protection, in the passing game, playing tough, extending runs too, and moving the chain. So for Cam Akers, you don't know what's going to happen at the end of the year, but to at least prove and show what you're worth and show what the Rams saw in you, when they drafted you, it goes a long way for him at least.
Yeah, and for me, in terms of my final thoughts, it's Sean McVay. I mean, he's going to be able to prove what he can do, especially in a spoiler role, which he hasn't done under with the Rams. And so for me, it's just trying to see how he can use Baker Mayfield and now the weapons that he has to be able to play spoiler against the Rams and the Seahawks. I mean, maybe the Chargers have already clinched by the time the game comes around. But at least we can see what he can do. And now that he has a quarterback that he can actually lean on, aside from Matt Stafford. But it'll be interesting to see what he can do with what he has with this roster, the final two games. And then lastly, before we let you go, Gilbert, give us your 12 pack of beer player of the game.
Yeah, one quick note. I saw Lincoln Riley, the USA football coach, hanging out in the Rams locker room, having conversations with Sean McVay. He probably told Sean, "Hey, I told you to claim him on waivers. Baker's my dude. He won the Heisman with me in Oklahoma." And Sean's probably saying, "You're all right." So, and also too, like maybe he's a good luck charm because Lincoln Riley beat in the building and they score 51 points, and Baker Mayfield goes off. Maybe invite that guy more often, but I know he's busy coaching his own team. So I won't get him the 12 pack, Lincoln Riley, but just a funny note there. My 12 pack has to go to Tyler Higbee. I feel like you kind of forget what Higbee does. He's been reliable, steady. It's not the sexiest numbers, but he's just consistent. Like you could count on the guy to like give you 50 to 70 receiving yards, maybe no touchdown into a Baker or ride, but this 11 personnel. There's a reason why they keep putting Higbee out there, and Bryson can get a shot because they like what he does. Sean McVay calls him a staple of the offense, so he's getting most of the snaps there in the 11 personnel. And I know it was a little different today with the 12 personnel, which was nice to see an adjustment there. But Higbee means so much to this team, so have yourself a 12 pack, and they won today, Victor. So they get the good stuff. I'm gonna say Higbee, get yourself a 24 pack of Modelo's. That's the best of the best. Right? You can't get better than that. And spread that around with Baker Mayfield, which I think Baker probably could, take a few Modelo's too if he wants.
Yeah, and then for me, I called it. I said it on Twitter as soon as he got his second sack. Laurel Merchants. I mean, the guy just got signed to the team on December 12th. Gets two sacks and is already sixth in the team in total sacks for the season. So he's getting that 12 pack, that good one. And so I just big shout out to him and coming in and being able to contribute right off the bat. So that's who I'm gonna go with, Gilbert. But that's pretty much it. Give us what you're working on, and then go ahead and plug away. Plug your stories, man.
Yeah, if you have a different 12 pack player of the game, leave it in the comments here. Let us know who you thought is deserving of the beer of the night, or any other kind of thoughts you want to share, so we could see it. And again, I want to build a community here at House of Horns. But you can read my story about this out of nowhere scoring outburst by the Rams at OC Register, LA Daily News, or follow me on Twitter at gmanzano24. Check out my story. I think they just posted a different story, second story on Kobe Durant, the rookie, and what he did today. So check out all my work there. And again, sorry for the delay, but Christmas Day, there's a bunch of early deadlines here. So I appreciate you guys waiting around. And again, if you want to be engaging, leave a comment in the video. Check out all our work. Make sure to subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. But again, I appreciate all the support, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope everybody has a safe rest of the week as we get ready for Rams Chargers. We'll have your preview midweek. I know there's going to be a lot of excitement as the two teams from LA battle. We might have a guest, someone we know close and personal on the show for that preview. So it'll be fun. We should have a fun, especially after a victory Sunday. So with that, Gilbert, go ahead and close this out for us.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Get back to the tamales and the pozole and have fun with your family and loved ones. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.